Tunji Disu set for inauguration as Inspector General of Police, as Police Council gives nod.
He did a major assignment with the Rapid Response in Lagos State, an FCT, so he has a record to show that he can perform.
Department of State Services nabs suspect behind attack on Peter Obi in Edo State.
Federal government takes action to protect citizens amid Iran-Israel-US strikes.
There was a reported case of a Nigerian that was injured, but I think he walked into a medical facility and he was treated, and I think currently is stable.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, we shall turn our attention to ear care.
World Hearing Day is observed every year on March the 3rd, a global call to protect our hearing and prevent avoidable deafness.
And this year's theme, From Communities to Classrooms, Hearing Care for All Children, now puts the spotlight on early detection and prevention, especially among children.
The numbers are striking. More than 60% of childhood hearing loss is preventable, yet more than 90 million children worldwide are living with hearing challenges.
Many of these cases are linked to common conditions like ear infections, chronic ear diseases, or even something as simple as impacted earwax. Now, these issues, raises cause for concern. And of course, we're preaching detection, early detection and early treatment.
When hearing loss goes untreated, it can affect a child's speech, learning, confidence, and social development, with consequences that can last a lifetime.
And so that's why routine ear and hearing screening in schools and primary health centers is so important. Early identification makes all the difference.
So simple steps also matters, like protecting the ears from loud noise and following the 60-60 rule, listening at no more than 60% volume for no longer than 60 minutes at a time.
Do we obey that?
Well, we do.
The young people.
The challenge is that not many people are even aware of it.
True.
Yeah.
Now, integrating hearing care into school health programs and child health services can help ensure that no child is left behind.
No child is left behind. So today, we'll be looking at how Nigeria can strengthen pediatric hearing care, the impact of hearing loss and on education and social development, and practical steps to ensure every child has access to the care they need. I am Ademola Adeoye. Thank you for starting your day with us.
Indeed. It's a pleasure to be with you, Ademola Mose. My name is Henry John. Welcome to Good Morning Nigeria. This Tuesday, we're live on the network service of the NTA, and this is Africa's largest TV network. In the course of the program, of course, we'll bring you Super Review. That's when Chukwudi Okoli Ogbaja joins us. But for now, let's have the morning news with Frama Pai. Frama, good morning to you.
Morning, Ademola. Good morning, Nigerians. Here is the morning news. Now, the newly appointed Acting Inspector General of Police is to be sworn in as the substantive IG next week, following the ratification of his appointment by the Nigeria Police Council.
Well, the council met and unanimously approved the nomination of AIG Tunji Disu to fill the vacant position of Inspector General of Police. The update that I have is that on Wednesday, the President is formally swearing in as Inspector General of Police.
And the Department of State Services, DSS, has arrested Udeme Monday Stephen, a 26-year-old teacher suspected of being behind the recent assassination attempt on Peter Obi, Labour Party's 2023 presidential candidate in Edo State. Stephen had claimed responsibility for the attack on his ex account threatening further attacks on Obi. DSS operative tracked Stephen, who teaches at Jessica High School in Rivers State, using forensic analysis after he issued threats online and says he'll soon face charges in court. The attack occurred on February 24 when armed men fired gunshots at Obi and other opposition leaders during a party meeting in Benin. Obi and others, including former APC National Chairman John Oyegun, escaped unharmed. Now, tensions in the Middle East remain critically high following a series of military strikes between Iran, Israel, and the United States. As the world watches for the next move, the federal government is taking action to protect its citizens caught in the crossfire.
I'm in touch with all our missions in the affected countries, but we don't have a mission in Bahrain, a physical embassy in Bahrain, but our embassy in Kuwait City in Kuwait covers Bahrain. So there was a reported case of a Nigerian that was injured, but I think he walked into a medical facility and he was treated, and I think currently is stable and not in a life-threatening situation.
Meanwhile, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, is taking proactive steps to calm turbulent oil markets after coordinated United States-Israeli strikes on Iran rattled supplies across the Middle East. Brent crude has already spiked by about 9% on renewed fears over production and supply disruption around the Strait of Hormuz, a strategic route that handles roughly 20% of global seaborne oil trade. Now, air travelers at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport are adjusting to the cashless toll payment system introduced by the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria. NTA correspondent who visited the airport reports that although the gridlock that follows the introduction of the new policy persists, the authority says measures have been put in place to speed up payment at the toll gate and ease the flow of traffic.
Now we're having 6 good lanes, and we also deploy buses just across the entrance gate. For those who are in a hurry, we convey them to terminal building free of charge, just to ease the burden on passengers. It is a gradual thing. We will continue to contain and manage this situation until all Nigerians that are using Nigerian airports got this card, and off we go.
And the federal government urges states and local governments to sustain support for smallholder farmers to achieve full self-sufficiency, rural poverty eradication. This was at flag of 2026 dry season farming activities in Kebbi State.
We recognize the challenge faced by our farmers, and we are dedicated to providing them with the necessary tools and the support in order to succeed.
Youth and women must be fully integrated as central actors with equitable access to inputs, financing, and land to sustain productivity and strengthen agricultural potentials.
And those are the highlights of the news at this time. Good morning, Nigeria continues with Ademola and Yenre after the commercial break. Please don't go away.
Absence to smart cash.
Today and today, if I hear said penny charges today.
I keep asking you to download the smart cash app and begin to enjoy 0 charges on your transfers. No be cho.
If I hear say smart cash no charge you for this transaction today, make I bend.
No matter the transaction, smart cash no go charge you shishi. Whether na airtime or na data you buy, or you want pay for your light or na cable bill, na 0 charges for smart cash. This one no be cho. Work is day.
See.
I don't download that.
Make yourself a download smart cash app or dial *939# sharp.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wherever life takes you, home is who you share iftar with. Ramadan Mubarak from Terra.
Milo 3-in-1 Milky and Creamy is truly milky and contains calcium. So, no need to add milk for that rich, creamy cup, which helps to nourish your kids. Milo 3-in-1 Milky and Creamy is truly milky and contains calcium. So, no need to add milk for that rich, creamy cup, which helps to nourish your kids.
Once upon a time, there was a land plagued by blandness. Food had lost its flavor and there was nothing left to savor. Just then, the tastemaker arrives to restore taste to this land of blandness. All she did was sprinkle, stir, and serve. And from that day on, they knew one truth. All they needed is sprinkle, stir, serve. Tastemaker.
Super Malt Multivitamin Active Teens. Super Malt Multivitamin Active Teens. Shine on.
Guys, food is ready.
Cook to impress. In the heat of the summer, downfall bosses feel like extremely hot ovens.
How do I cope with this heat?
And how do I cope with that bad odor?
By staying 5 degrees cooler.
Body odor is caused by germs, and on hot days, the sweating and the odor are more. That's why you need to get the new improved Dettol Cool Soap, which offers up to 5 degrees instant cooling sensation and protects you from 99.9% odor-causing germs.
Imagine lovely meals you can cook with these ingredients. You spend heavily, but no guarantee of a tasty meal. Not making a right choice of seasoning cube can ruin your meal, money, and confidence. For a tasty meal, do not compromise. Choose Gold.
Use Terra Gold for the rich, consistent taste your loved ones crave for. Good for soups, stews, and jollof. Terra Gold. 1 cube, endless possibilities.
Like every year, in the blessed month of Ramadan, with the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the generosity of our dedicated donors, Nonviolent Peace Initiative provides iftar for the Muslim Ummah, street people, destitute and inmates in Nigeria. This Ramadan, Nonviolent Peace Initiative is arranging to provide more iftar, inshallah. Whoever gives iftar to one who is fasting will have a reward like his, without detracting from the reward of the fasting person in the slightest. Narrated by Tirmidhi and Ibn Majah. Remember, every contribution, big or small, counts in enabling us to provide non-violence peace education to our beloved country. Your donations make a difference. Please send your sadaqah, zakat, and donations Non-Violent Peace Initiative, Iftar and Sahur, 1771 660076, Polaris Bank Limited, 04 57 07 01 09 GTB.
Many thanks for staying with us. It's still Good Morning Nigeria, live on the network service of the NTA. And up next is News for Review.
Our newspaper reviewer is here. Chooks, the boy.
How are you? Enjoying the residue of the harmattan, you know, because in about 7 days you're not going to see it, feel it anymore. Those of us who watch the weather know. Hello, Mrs. John.
Good to see you, Chukudi.
How are you?
Very
Which one
well,
do you
thank you.
prefer?
Good morning.
Ian Ray or Mrs. John?
Ian Ray. That's
it's okay, my dear. That's standard broadcasting practice.
Thank you.
Let's go.
All right, let's see what the papers have this morning. We'll begin with The Guardian. The Guardian leads with tropical diseases prevention. Drug shortage funding cuts put 100 million Nigerians NTT gains at risk. Away from that, we have DSS arrest suspect behind Obi Oyegun's assassination attempt. And that's on page 28. And of course, the Middle East, on all the headlines this morning, the caption here says Middle East war sends crude higher, fuels fresh inflation risk in Nigeria. That's it. On page 6, you want to read that up and get prepared. Away from that, just below the masthead, we have services disrupted as UCH unions begin 5-day strike over power rationing. Interesting. That's on page 7. And on El Rufai's family replies ICPC on wiretapping secret documents. All right, what's that about? Page 4 will guide you. Wiretapping secret documents. All right, NNPCL loses power to collect 30% PSCs as EO9 takes off. That's on page 4 also. And looking below the picture stories right here, Fintiri formally joins APC, declares self-party leader. Group condemns rising wave of suicide-themed skits by Nigerian content creators. And chaos lingers as cashless toll enforcement leaves airport road users stranded. All right, that's about it on The Guardian. Let's see the blueprint. Blueprint, of course, leads with the Iran-US-Israel war. Qatar Energy, Saudi Aramco shut down. Gas price jumps 50%. Crude 10%. Qatar downs 2 Iranian fighter planes as crisis spreads. Trump mourns fallen U.S. service fellows. Says it's expected more will go. All right, Trump seems ready for all of this. And above the masthead, we have NAF airstrikes neutralize senior terrorist commanders in Borno. And of course, on the IGP, on page 7, you can read up the story with a caption, Police Council confirms Disu IGP to be sworn in Wednesday. And beside that lead story, we have insurgents attack South Sudan village, kill 169. And below the picture story, we have how Nigeria's foreign reserves grew by 772%, according to Cardoso. And in the Great Strip, at the bottom of the front page of the blueprint, we have FG begins implementation of E09 on direct revenue remittance. That's about it.
Okay. I have the leadership newspaper. And just above the nameplate of leadership newspaper, Nosuki deal with Tinubu for appointment before 2023 polls. Wike. APC summons Ayedatiwa as court holds Congress in Ondo. Details of that story can be found on page 4. No plan to impeach Kano Deputy Governor, Assembly Majority Leader. Details on page 6. El-Rufai's family accuses ICPC of forgery, political harassment. Details of that story, it's on page 22. Botswana President appoints Omobori Owo to Power Corp Board. And governors back direct remittance of oil revenues to Federation account. Details of that story can be found on page 6. Now, why we make politicians sign peace accords, Kuka. If you want to read about that story, you can go to page 12. U.S.-Israel war with Iran. Domestic petrol prices rise as crude oil surges. Details on page 4. Shiite members protest in Lagos over Kimani's killing. Chooks?
Yes. Let me quickly talk about the NNPCL losing power to collect 30%, PSCs as a executive order 9 takes off. Remember, that President Bola Tinubu actually issued an executive order in February mandating that all oil and gas revenues, including royalties, taxes, and profit, oil, gas, be paid directly to the Federation account. So at the end of the day, we are talking where to direct source, you know, where source is going. It's always about source and application. But we're going to be more interested in application. Does the redirecting into the Federation account help us account for the money more and make it more development friendly? That should be our concern. I'm sure that there are good reasons, administrative reasons for doing this. Our own is put the money to good use, please, so that Nigerian people would gain maximally from it.
I think that topic was actually discussed on this platform about 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. Now, there's this one on DSS arresting suspect behind Obi Oyego's assassination attempt.
Yeah.
That is to be expected. That is the way it should be. But I'm going to like to dwell a little on how some people could just make some statements as if impunity is their father. You know, I don't quite understand it. There was a clip I saw on social media where somebody was saying a lot of, if you say some of these things in the UK or US, you rubbish the rest of your political life. That's the truth. You don't even begin to think like that. I keep on saying here, they don't sleep in churches and mosques like us, but they have what they call social etiquette and a code of conduct. That's what rules them. It's not that they're more godly than us, but there are things you don't say there. And those are some of the things missing from this continent. And that's why we're going through certain things that should be alien to the way we live our lives. You know, so let these DSS go on and do what they need to do. Domestic petrol prices rise. It's not just domestic petrol prices, it's going to be an international thing. I hear that the Americans are going to reduce some of their reserves to cushion the effect. The Strait of Hormuz has been effectively shut now. They could use part of it. Remember we said yesterday 20% of world oil supply goes through there.
Yeah.
They could use part of it, but they feel the risk is too much. You know, it's going to impact on petrol and all that.
It's already
prices
impacted.
are going up, but let's not jubilate. It's going to return to us in inflation form.
That's just a challenge.
That's the truth. It's an ill wind that is not going to blow anyone any good. I pray that thing that is happening there is nipped in the bud. It is not good for the world.
No, it's not.
Look at now. You've not heard from the Chinese. Maybe the Russians have said something. Yes, I think I saw that on BBC Crawl. But the Chinese have not said anything. 30% of Chinese oil goes through that point. You've cut them off from Venezuela's supplies. Cuba is practically isolated now. They are going to, at a point, say something because they have 1.4 billion people to cater to.
Cater for, yeah.
These are the issues, you know. Let them handle this matter softly, softly. They have to. It's very important. Do we still have? Oh, this one is very good. Please. No plan to impeach Kanu deputy governor.
I was going to call
this
your
one is
attention
very
to that.
good.
Yes.
The man in the other political party in your government is not necessarily your enemy. Wike has proved it to us, hasn't he? Okay, I stop there. But the point I'm making is that a man has a right to have his political beliefs. Politics is different from governance. The deputy governor of Kano State could be with Kwankwaso, but he owes absolute loyalty to his boss, who is now in the APC. But beyond that, the deputy governor has a right to be where he wants to be. And I'm happy that Kano people, the majority leader, is recognizing that. That means we're improving in terms of the maturity we need to throw in the way of politics. I liked it when I read it up.
But you see, the way we play our politics in this country call for
That is the
That's
point, Demola.
Yes.
It's not supposed to be a do or die affair. You know? It's not supposed to be.
The moment you are not in my camp, then you become automatically my enemy. That's the way they see it.
Sometimes the people you call your enemies are your real friends in life. I told you about a village meeting in my village one day, and judgment was passed on this man. You know what he said? He said, if Mr. Okonkwo was at this meeting, even though I'm not on speaking terms with him, he would not let you do to me what you have just done to me. That is expressing integrity on behalf of Mr. Okonkwo, who was his enemy. People could still be like that. It's integrity. You know?
All right, it's about time for you to go. But this story about UCH, unions begin 5-day strike over power rationing.
I didn't know.
That power rationing has been there for a long time now.
It's about 2.5 weeks now. 2.5 weeks.
And
it all started.
It's more than that.
It all started when we heard that Seplat Engineering was going to maintain its gas supply routes and all that. And the other time I posited that maybe, yes, Seplat has restored, but recirculation of products might not be as quick as we think. Speculation. You need to talk to the experts to know what really happened. But I know that marginally is improving in the hinterland where I live.
Oh, okay.
It is improving.
Where do you live?
It's improving. That's my own secret. Henry, do you have anything important to say before you kick me out politely?
Yes, the important thing I have to say is thank you, Chukwudi, for joining us today. That's about it for today. We'll see you tomorrow.
Very good woman.
Thank you.
May God keep on prospering you.
Amen. Thank you, Chukwudi.
I am leaving.
All right, so we'll take a break now. When we'll come back, we'll get into the conversation for today. Stay with us.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wherever life takes you, home is who you share iftar with. Ramadan Mubarak from Terra.
اللهم اجعلنا من عتقاء شهر رمضان.
The glorious month of Ramadan is here once again, and your darling program Sahur Live on NTA is back bigger and better. Our team of erudite scholars are ready to provide insightful analysis into the religion. The Nasiha, Din and Dunya, Women Angle, Living with the Glorious Quran, and the ever-exciting quiz segment are reloaded for your viewing delight. Come and maximize your reward in this blessed month by partnering with us on this year's episode of the program. For sponsorship, advert placement, and inquiries, contact the General Manager, NTA Channel 5 Abuja, Old Parade Crown, Ereten Gauki Abuja. You can also contact us on the following telephone numbers: 080-3450-5155, 080-3380-6162, 080-3568-8394. Sahur Live on NTA, your indispensable companion in Ramadan. Don't miss it.
When malaria knocks you down, you can be sure parasites are having a party in your system.
Welcome to our new kingdom, guys!
Comel, an effective weapon against malaria. Attacking the parasite army directly to give you express relief and get you back on your feet effectively. Comel on. Malaria gone.
You have no better friend and partner than Nigeria. Let this unveiling today be a call to conscience. Let our practitioners hold the line of truth. To the media, please inform with integrity and with a deep sense of patriotism. To our public officers, communicate with transparency. To citizens, please let us speak with empathy. Let us come together to become the voice of responsibility, the voice of the world that heals division, that inspires hope and drives development.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Wherever life takes you, home is who you share iftar with. Ramadan Mubarak from Terra.
Are you ready? Join us on Reshaping Democracy, a groundbreaking program on the network service of the NTA, where citizens get the chance to ask ministers, heads of ministerial departments, agencies, and other top government officials questions on their performance and delivery of mandates. With no sector of limits, conversations build around bridging communication gaps for feedback and effect as our guests engage with the people they serve.
How does ND foster partnerships with organizations, government agencies, NGOs, among others?
As our leaders give account to citizens' inquiries on good governance, tune in to Reshaping Democracy, a creative concept coming up every Tuesday evening at 10:05 p.m.
This is Reshaping Democracy.
Glad to still have you with us. Still good morning, Nigeria, live on the network service of the NTA. And just before we get into our conversation for today, which is on the care for our ears. Very critical topic, I'm sure you agree. Let's listen to our correspondent, Oyeyemi Ajayi, for the background report.
The ear is an organ of the body responsible for hearing and balance, composed of the outer, middle, and inner ear. It converts sound waves into electrical signals for the brain, while also controlling equilibrium via the vestibular system. It is an important part of the human body, which many say is quite complex. However, the need for proper ear care becomes imminent to maintain healthy lifestyle. Proper ear care focuses on protecting hearing, allowing self-cleaning and avoiding internal obstruction. Part of the cautions include never to insert objects into the ear canal, as they can cause injury, infections, or push wax deeper. Clean only the outer ear with a cloth during showers, and use earplugs to protect against loud noises or water. Also, there is the need to avoid loud activities and places whenever possible, aside wearing proper protection. There is actually the emphasis to consult an ENT specialist for persistent itching, pain, discharge, or hearing loss. Exercise increases blood flow to the ear, which helps the tiny hair cells in the inner ear to stay healthy. Simple exercises like walking, gardening, or housework can improve the hearing health. Medication is said to be a great way to lower stress and improving hearing. As the world stands still to mark the World Hearing Day, what other ways can the ears be cared for? Our guest already seated will be elaborating on this shortly.
Yemi Ajayi for that background report, and those questions that you have asked, I believe our guest here have listened to them and they would provide the necessary response. Just to introduce the guest that we have in the studio, in no particular order, let me introduce Dr. Etukumana Iboro Apan, otolaryngologist, head and neck surgeon, University of Abuja Teaching Hospital. Dr. Akpan, it's good to have you join us.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Also joining us here is Dr. Chimeze Obiungbam. He's the Director, National Eye, Ear and Sensory Functions Health Program, Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare. Dr. Obiungbam, it's good to have you join us as well.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you.
All right, still joining us for the conversation here is Dr. Nse Obong Blessing Ondiye, Chief Consultant, ENT Surgeon, and Head of Department of ENT at the National Hospital, Abuja. Many thanks for joining us, Doctor.
Thank you for having me.
All right, also part of the conversation, but not right here in the studio. Joining us from our Kaduna studio is Dr. Mustafa Abubakar Yaro, the Chief Medical Director at the National Ear Care Center, Kaduna. Many thanks for joining us, Doctor. Good to see you.
Good morning, Nigerians, and thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies, for being here today. And this topic that we are looking at today is because today is World Hair Care Day, right? And let me start with Dr. Akpan now. You tell us about what this day connotes, especially when it comes to hair-related issues affecting children.
Oh yeah, thank you very much. Just to start with saying that we have 5 major sense organs of the body, and the sense of hearing, the sense of taste, sense of touch, the sense of sight, and then the sense of smell. And it has been shown that the sense of hearing, it's something that we so much neglect so much, and we also know the importance of hearing in the sense that it's what you hear that you speak, that you'll be able to say. So there's a relationship between hearing and speech acquisition. So it's one aspect of health that has been neglected so much in the world, and most especially in our own region, being sub-Saharan Africa and Nigeria particularly. So setting aside this day is to remind the people about the importance of taking care of their hearing. You will not appreciate your ears until you don't hear anymore. It will be as if you are in a total hollow, empty space that you can't just communicate at all. It's not a scenario that you wish to be. So setting aside this day is to remind everyone to know the importance of hearing and the importance of taking care of our ears, not to go to the extent of getting into a state of not hearing completely. So this day is more of a day that we will try to harness our policies, our health, and chart a way forward to be able to have a very comfortable and healthy living.
All right, many thanks, Dr. Akpan. I'd like to get to Dr. Ondiye now. He just said it. Nobody gets to talk about the ear. All right, so I'm wondering, what could go wrong with the ear?
Well, a lot. The World Hearing Day, as 3rd of March, is just a special day to celebrate the ears and to help everyone to be aware of the ears. He has said that if you don't hear, it's like you're in a hollow place. It's like a vacuum. In fact, I've seen people literally cry because they couldn't hear. So for this year, the focus is mainly on children. The theme is from communities to the classroom. So we're really talking about how to prevent and help the children, because adults can complain. The children don't complain. A child that doesn't hear will not complain. So when you talk about how important is hearing, some people are really hard on their children. They beat them and say, oh, you're very stubborn. You know, they hear word. But that child is not hearing at all. And unknown to the mother, the child will just be quiet. And they will have psychological issues. They will have academic problems because they cannot communicate. And so if the child is even lucky enough to maybe have that problem after acquiring speech, it's even easier. But some of them, they can't even acquire speech because you only learn to talk what you hear.
Now you're talking about people who are born deaf, technically, from what you're saying. But I'm talking about somebody not born deaf. So I mean, the ear, I mean, except maybe you put something in it.
No.
It's kind of hidden, right? No contact. It doesn't need food. It doesn't need water, right? Does it?
So how do we care for it?
So yeah, exactly. So why would something go wrong if you were not born deaf?
Yeah, a lot can go wrong. For instance, a child that maybe is just a little baby that's not born deaf. You know, first of all, you have to screen at birth to know that this child is not deaf. There's that neonatal screening, which a lot of people don't do.
Okay.
So we have to be aware. Now, if the hearing is lost at a very early age, all is not lost. There are several ways to rehabilitate. But if a child is born with hearing, we can care for that child, preventing infections, preventing trauma. Trauma like slapping a child on the ear is very, very bad. It can damage the eardrum. It can do a lot of harm. It can dislocate the ossicles, and the child will be deaf for life. Then infections like maybe the child is having catarrh. The child is having catarrh, and from there the child cannot hear. That child is having problem with the eustachian tube, having problem with the middle ear, and there's a fluid that will accumulate because of that persistent catarrh. You know what we call catarrh? There are actually other things that will lead to that, maybe like adenoid enlargement and tonsillar enlargement. They go and crowd the postnasal space where the eustachian tube is, and there are simple remedies for those things. A child that's snoring so much and then cannot hear, having ear pain all the time, or some of them have ear discharge, and the mothers may not even have time, or they may not know. So the child now goes on and becomes deaf because nobody pays attention to them. Then a child will now see an adult with cotton bud, and the child will try to clean his own ears. That's a preventable thing. You don't have to clean your ear with cotton bud. I've seen mothers perforate the eardrums of their own children because they're trying to clean. So those are preventable things.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Dr. Inde. Let's bring in Dr. Chimeze now. I mean, we're talking about air generally, and we're focusing on the children now. What are the symptoms? How do you discover that this child has ear problem or ear challenges, and what are the signs that indicates that this person needs a checkup?
Okay, thank you very much. Most often than none, like she said, most children will not tell you they have problem. You see our mothers quarreling with their children. Don't you, in the normal balance, don't you hear? Can't you hear me? And most often than none, within the classroom, the child tends to come closer to the class so that he can hear the teacher speak. And in places where people, where we have screening, these are detected early. But as a Nigerian government, we are trying to do that now, get the policy integrated within the primary healthcare system so that even during immunization visits, children are screened, and but getting people to know how a child behaves, so you could see some discharge, like she said, pointed out, because of recurrent catarrh, people having recurrent catarrh, sometimes discharge comes out from the ears, and then worse if they keep pouring in water, because that helps to aggravate, forms a nidus together with the discharge for bacterial infection to keep happening, developing. All right. Some children, maybe the older ones, could complain of dizziness, what we call tinnitus, but not every child who is younger could do that. And in situations where, because the ear is connected to the eyes and the brain, they could also develop meningitis. So those are situations where we could watch out for such things. So if a child comes with meningitis, we should not only think of only a bacterial infection, we could also look at the ears and all that. So those are situations that can lead to that. And even sometimes the eyes too, because of the connection with the eyes, they also have some problems with the eyes as well.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Obimbam. Dr. Yaro, I'm sure you can hear us. A lot of things that I'm sure our viewers want to know about the ears. By the way, our viewers can be part of this conversation. They can send in SMS or WhatsApp messages to the number on the screen. Now, Dr. Yarrow, my question to you would be, what causes deafness in a child that is born, right? Like Dr. tried to say, Dr. Ondie, that some children are actually born deaf. So I'm wondering, during conception in the womb, what complications, you know, could lead to deafness in a newborn baby?
Activities that probably the pregnant woman is involved in and all that.
Good morning, Nigerians, for having me. And as we are all aware, today marks the World Hearing Day. That is the 3rd of March. And we are discussing about causes of hearing loss in children. What you have asked is called congenital hearing loss. That is children that are born with hearing loss. And once we do, what we do is we look at the circumstances surrounding the pregnancy and also circumstances surrounding the delivery. So during the pregnancy period, especially within the first trimester of pregnancy, that is within the first 3 months of pregnancy, what happens is that there are certain infections within the mother that can cause hearing, that can affect the hearing of the child in vitro, that is within the uterus. These infections include infections like what we call rubella, like toxoplasmosis. There are infections. And then certain drugs also that the mother takes during the pregnancy can affect also the child. There are drugs that we call ototoxic medications. Ototoxic in the sense that these drugs are toxic to the air, and once the mother is taking those types of drugs, it can also cross the placenta and affect the child's hearing organs development. So also during the delivery period, there is what we call prolonged labor, where the child suffer what we call asphyxia. That is, there is lack of oxygen supplied from the mother to the child due to prolonged labor. So during this period also, because of that hypoxia or lack of oxygen, it can affect the brain and then subsequently also affect the hearing of the child. Then you look at also outside immediately within 28 days of delivery of the child, there are certain things that can happen. Also infections within the child, also like bilirubin, that is what we call jaundice. You see that the child becomes very yellowish and develops what we call kernicterus. That is when the bilirubin level is very high. It can also affect the hearing of that child. So these are some of the things that during the pregnancy, once the mother is not very careful to look at infections, to attend regular antenatal, or to take some drugs, or also there is no proper care during the delivery, these things can lead to child coming up with deafness. And then some of these hearing loss can be also what we call genetic. There are some genetic causes that runs within the family, or they can be part of what we call syndromic groups. That is some other factors that affect the development of the organ during the during pregnancy. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you very much, Dr. Yarrow, for that explanation there. But when the child is born, can that child be immediately, can the doctors actually immediately detect whether that child has a challenge? Is it possible?
It is quite very possible, because ideally, during birth, before any child is discharged from a health facility, the hearing assessment needs to be done. There is what we call the otoacoustic emission, that is OAE, and also what we call the auditory brain response audiometry. These are equipments that have been made to identify a child that is born, whether he has hearing loss or he doesn't have. These equipments are readily available in Nigeria and in most centers. As the last speaker has said, there is a policy that has been developed by the Federal Ministry of Health, which is called the National Program on Hearing and Hearing Care in Nigeria, that advocates for mandatory screening of all children that are born. Once you subject them to this otoacoustic emission, it will detect the sound within the ear, because within the inner ear there is what we call the hair cells. Those hair cells at birth are making some sounds, and that sound can be detected by that machine called the otoacoustic emission. So once it is detected, it will say pass. So it means that there is hearing in that child, even though that the child at birth cannot respond to anything, but that machine will be able to pick. So that is what is being done. So it is possible to detect hearing loss in children at birth. And currently, we are doing that. We have liaised with Barodiko Teaching Hospital here in Kaduna to screen all children that are born at birth, and then also to look at what we call high-risk patients. High-risk patients are those that have prematurity, those that have jaundice, those that the mother suffered from any illness during pregnancy, and those that have family history of hearing loss. So those are the kind of patients that we require for now to have what we call auditory brain response audiometry or otoacoustic emission at birth, so as to detect them early, and then treatment can be instituted.
Many thanks, Dr. Yaro. Would return to you. Let's get back in the studio now and hear some, more responses. Dr. Akman, Dr. Yaro just told us about neonatal hearing loss. That's for babies that are just born, and he did mention that there are some medications that mothers could take while pregnant that could affect the hearing, or if you like, the ears of the baby. Speak about medications that can be taken after birth that could also lead to deafness, or if you like, activities. Now, doctor is trying to say, well, there are medical procedures to check if a child can hear. I've never experienced. I don't think. I mean, people don't get tested. Children don't get tested. What happens is, once you take your baby home and there's a loud noise, if the child doesn't turn, you begin to ask questions. Is the child? I mean, that's like the sign for mothers to know whether your child is hearing. Now, but speak to us about activities, or if you like, things that mothers could do after the birth of a child that could lead to hearing loss.
Oh yeah. When Dr. Yaro spoke earlier on, he talked about neonatal screening. And, for the best way to practice medicine now is to go on preventive medicine. It's quite unfortunate that you've not heard about the hearing screening. It's something that when a child is born, expectedly in the Western world, they carry out hearing screening to be able to catch them early for those who are hearing loss. And it's something that is also, the policy is there now, pending the implementation of it, for us to always have a hearing screening. Now, back to your question about what are those activities that after birth that the child could come up with hearing loss. Those are being classified as the acquired causes of hearing loss, because he basically mentioned about the congenital causes of hearing loss. One of the problems among the under 5 is febrile convulsion, febrile illness. So yeah, when you come up to the febrile convulsion, because of the children have a very small body mass index, so when there's a very small change in the body temperature, this effect could be so catastrophic. You come up and have convulsion and all sorts. I've seen a patient in clinic once that had a febrile convulsion, and it was not something so good to behold. All the developmental milestone of this child dropped. A child that was walking before could not walk again. A child who can see could not, that can see initially, could not see again. A child that can hear initially cannot hear again. So that under 5 care is too important. You don't need to allow the child to have infection, or to the extent that this child is so sick, having high temperature, spiking, and you don't go looking for care about it. So all those febrile illness could also cause the deafness. On the other part too, Dr. Ondep talked about parents using something to put into the ear and all sorts, perforating the eardrum eventually. That's traumatic cause. And for some parents who are so aggressive, they say, don't spare a child and spare the rod. But when you are using the rod at the wrong spot, it becomes a problem. Slapping the child, hitting the child in the ear and all sorts, it could also cause some damage to the ear, rupturing the eardrum. Earlier on mentioned about ossicular dislocation could also cause it as well. Then the use of drugs. There are some particular drugs that they say these drugs are ototoxic. Ototoxic drugs. So these are things that you need to be very careful about. Don't just wake up, carry any medication, give it to a child. Must you give any medication? Please try to consult your doctor, and if possible, try to see a specialist in a particular area to be able to give you a particular medication for it. Common drugs that whenever in the community they will just rush and say, my pikin get infection, my pikin get infection. They will carry gentamicin, give the child. Drugs like gentamicin are very, very ototoxic, and when you develop ototoxicity to the extent of hearing loss, I'm sorry to say, it's irreversible. At that point in time, you are thinking about rehabilitation and going to the extent of possible cochlear implant. Well, as time goes on, I think we are going to talk about the rehabilitative process. So these are some common practices: using sharp objects in the ear, rupturing the eardrum, trauma, infection, and all sorts. He talked about ear infection leading to meningitis. These are all sequelae that comes from ear infection that can actually cause a hearing loss.
Does malaria medication lead to?
Oh yeah, there are some drugs that could cause that. Quinine in particular can cause tinnitus, and in some cases can actually cause hearing loss.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Akpan. Dr. Blessing, let me just ask, because this air challenge really affects, the children a lot, and it has a great impact on their social and development, like the health impact on the child. So tell us the overall impact on the overall development of the child. This health challenge that we're talking about now.
A child with hearing loss.
Yes.
That silent word puts the child at great risk physically. If a child is walking on the road and he hears a car coming, the child can run away. But if a child just doesn't hear, a motorcycle can clear the child from the road because he has not heard. That silent word makes the child appear stubborn, and so the child gets extra punishment. And the child feels isolated, psychologically distanced from everyone, and it can affect the academics. The child sits in class, is not hearing what the teacher is saying, doesn't hear what the peers are saying, and the child feels so alone, cannot understand anything, so it can make him backward in life, not just in the class. Because if the child cannot attain that academic excellence, there's the psychological component to it. Then the child just doesn't, it feels like as if it doesn't belong. It just feels as if it's an outcast. And then the child might also want to prove something, And so some of them become like rebellious. They now throw tantrums. I've seen children that throw tantrums because they cannot hear. Yes. They become very destructive. In fact, they attack other children because they are not really hearing. And they are feeling maybe that they have paranoia. Like somebody is talking and passing. They feel, oh, that person must be talking about me. So it kind of damages the entire lifestyle of the child. The child may not attain to the height he's supposed to be in life.
Does it affect the speech also?
In fact, if a child doesn't hear, he won't talk. Anybody that doesn't hear will not talk. So if a child comes, if the mother comes, oh, my child has not spoken, the child is 3 years old. The first question is, does the child hear? Sometimes the hearing may not be completely lost. It may just be, like reduced. But might have to now augment. Because the frontal cortex stores the words. And so when the words are much, then there's overflow. That's when the child talks. So if a child is like 3 and the child has not even said mommy, daddy, then the mother should move. It's not until the child is about to go to secondary school before you know say, oh, this child is not talking. Now the speech is can be lost permanently if a child doesn't hear until 13. Understand? Like a child that has not heard, has not talked, and people have tried to do things, maybe they've tried hearing aids, it's not working. They'll keep saying, oh, let's try again or let's pray about it. There are other things that could be done, maybe like cochlear implant. That's like the ultimate. They're very expensive, but it can be done. So if you do it early, the child benefits. But if you leave it until the child is like maybe 12, 13, even if you do it, the brain has reassigned the hearing cortex to another thing. That's neuroplasticity. The brain doesn't like anything dormant. So if the child's brain, that hearing aspect, is dormant for a long time, many years, it will be reassigned. So even if you now want to do cochlear implant, it's not useful.
Many thanks, Dr.
Sorry. If a child doesn't, talk much, is that a sign as well?
It can be.
Okay.
It can be because
some children are just quiet. They don't talk. They don't express themselves like that. But they still speak, but not as much as you would desire them to speak. So.
Yeah, that's the place for hearing assessment.
Okay.
It's available everywhere. Audiometry, tympanometry, acoustic emission, EBR. It's available everywhere.
Available everywhere. I mean, you mean in all facilities, including primary healthcare centers? Because that's what some people have.
Primary healthcare centers may not have them. But I mean, like, if you get to a place like National Hospital, you have them.
Okay, so you're talking about either secondary or tertiary medical facilities.
Yes.
I'd like to get to Dr. Obingbam now. I deliberately asked Dr. Akpan activities that could lead to hearing loss after birth, because I know that Dr. Ondi actually mentioned a few, because I was looking to hear some factors, or rather waiting to hear some factors, which I didn't hear, like listening to loud music, like swimming. I didn't hear all of that. So are those factors also responsible for hearing loss? And then we're talking about children. Dr. Akpan said children under 5. Does it mean that after 5, the possibility of hearing loss is slim or is near impossible?
Well, it's not impossible because if you look at the theme for the year, it says from communities to classrooms. And classrooms is from 5 to 19, right? Under 5, he talked about under 5 because they are more like, they may not say what, they may not be able to express themselves. But from those 5 to 19, which the team for the year is targeting, they also are at risk of such problems, all right? Yes, in the age of headphones and handsets and all that, that's a very, very big factor now. You see mothers giving their children earpods to hear. And then the one basic thing about that is the frequency, high, loud noise, duration, all right? So because if you have prolonged duration for listening to high, loud noise, that's enough to cause hearing damage. And because of that, people are advocating a 60-60 rule, all right? Keep it low and make it for 60 seconds and then have intermediate. I'm talking for adults now. Even for children, it's even worse because they are still developing. So we don't even encourage people to use that, all right? And then in a situation where you're exposed to loud noises as a child, we encourage that you use earmuffs to guard against that, because that persistent rise, so you see a child whose grandmother stays with a grandmother, has a grinding machine, that child should have an earmuff covering the ear as he's operating that grinding machine. I'm talking about elder children, if taught to do so. But ideally, the child shouldn't even operate such machines, right? So if you are in a situation where you have ability, or you are in a place where you are, or even in some congregations, ceremonies and all
some
that.
communities
Yes.
are just noisy.
Noisy, yeah. So if you are in such communities, you are supposed to have something that could have a protective effect on the ear. So an earmuff or something to block the ear that could reduce the intensity of the noise decibel that you are hearing at that point in time. So those are all areas that we are creating awareness for, encouraging Nigerians to ensure that people should, as much as possible, love their neighbors, lower the noises, because sometimes you could hear some
loud
music from another person's house. Most of our buildings are not built with noise insulators, so we don't tend to have that challenge.
Or in cars.
Or in cars too, yeah. Thank you very much for that. In cars, you see people blasting music to the high tunes, even with children within those cars. So those are the areas we are encouraging Nigeria to reduce them for the care of the children.
What about swimming?
Yeah, swimming, usually if you have infection, and we also encourage people to cover their ears during swimming, because prolonged contact with water that is infected goes into the ears and could lead to the infection my colleagues have talked about. So those are the areas that one should avoid.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, let's get to Dr. Yaro now. Dr. Yaro, I want you to give advice probably to parents, on recognizing ear-related, challenges, in their infants and young children. What advice would you give?
Thank you once again. It is important that parents should pay attention to identify whether their children have hearing challenges. Not only parents, but even the community, and also in the school environment, because this year's theme is about hearing challenges from communities to the schools. The first thing that the parents, as most of the speakers have noticed, is identifying that this child has a hearing problem. Some of these children frequently ask parents to repeat. When you give an instruction to your child and he asks you, please repeat, you should know that that child possibly may be having hearing challenges. When you are watching a program together with your children and you see that child picking a remote control to increase the volume of the TV, you should suspect that when everybody is hearing, why is my child increasing the volume? Then, when there is hearing delays, speech delays, as one of the speakers has said, because the child has to hear before he now learns how to speak. When there is delayed in speech acquisition, you should also give an indication. Then, also, in the classrooms, you should know that if the child performance is very poor, it could be related to the fact that the child is not hearing what the teachers are teaching him in the class. Then other things like ear discharge, ear pain, and the rest can come up. So it's very important that the parents should first identify. And then also the teachers should pay attention to those children, especially through their performance. The children always want to sit at the front because they are not hearing very well at the back. So what do parents need to do? Once they have identified these children, the first thing is to seek for medical advice. And then also to do certain things within the house that can prevent them. That is, using sharp objects for cleaning the air or removing dirt or wax from the air, exposing the children to unnecessary loud levels. Somebody has mentioned there is an acceptable sound limit that is permissible. Any sound that is above 80 to 85 decibel is injurious to the ear and can lead to damage to the ear. The acceptable limit of it should be below 85 decibels. So we should not expose them to unnecessary loud sound. Then the other thing is identify infections very well. There are certain infections, especially this catarrh that people are talking about, can lead to what we call infections within the middle ear, which is very common cause of hearing loss within the children, and also can lead to accumulation of fluid within the middle ear, which we call otitis media with effusion. Then use of drugs have been said. Parents should be very careful not to go to any medicine stores to collect drugs, because certain drugs are very dangerous. Drugs for treatment of malaria are very notorious. Infections such as measles should be promptly treated because measles also causes hearing loss. Meningitis should be. Mumps should be looked at. Rubella should be looked at. These are common childhood illnesses that needs that. And then also, the primary health care somebody has mentioned, because those are the first point of call, should also be enlightened. And then also what we have said, in the classroom, the teachers should pay attention to identify those children that have hearing challenges and can communicate to the parents, and then subsequently health seeking can be done to those children. So these are some of the measures I believe that the parents should watch for. And then also not to allow, because now you will see a lot of children moving around within the community with discharging air. You see them discharge coming out from the air, putting a lot of things inside the air. Instead of them to go and look for treatment to be offered, you see them, some of them will just get cotton wool and block the air, not knowing that they are preventing the discharge from coming out, and then the discharge will subsequently find a way up and then cause other complications, as some of them said, including meningitis, which can eventually lead to death. So I think those are some of the things that I can say the parents should look for. Thank you.
Actually, Dr. Yaro, what I asked, you touched, but you didn't touch on the major thing that I asked. That how do you manage? What advice will you give to parents? When a child has been recognized to having air challenge, how do you manage, children with air challenge?
Okay, thank you for that. If a child has been identified with air challenge, the first thing is to identify the cause of the problem. If the cause can be treated medically, that is, if it is due to an infection, he will come, he will receive treatment, and then he can get better. If it is something that needs surgery, because there are certain air problems that you have to treat them with surgeries. Let's say you do middle ear surgery, Or if it is just a simple wax, you can come and have an ear syringing, and then it will just be removed. If it is discharge that is coming from the ear, that is what we call ear dressing, and then subsequently, if there is a perforation, that is, there is a permanent opening within of the tympanic membrane, that is the tympanic membrane, that is the eardrum is destroyed, he has to undergo surgery to replace that tympanic membrane. Then if it is something that can be used to assist the child in hearing, that is what we call hearing aids. Various types of hearing aids are available, which can be used to amplify the hearing loss of the child. For extreme cases, that is total hearing loss to severe and profound hearing loss, those are the type of children that needs what we call the cochlear implant surgery. So, and then for those that have hearing loss and then also have speech challenges, then there is the need to employ the services of speech and verbal therapists in order to sort out their problems.
Yaro, I'd like us to return to the studio now, and of course I would want Dr. Akpan to respond to my question. We've talked about the earwax, so all the doctors have talked about not not cleaning the ears. So what happens to the earwax? What should we do? How do we care, for the ears, such that, because I mean, sometimes you see some children, their ears very dirty, and also mothers who try to clean think they are doing the right thing. So tell us, what is the appropriate thing to do about earwax? That's one. Then two, when doctor was talking, I'm not sure which of the doctors now, he was talking about the fact that earpods, right? So sharing ear, can I share my earpiece? Can it lead to infection that could lead to ear loss? Is that a practice that cannot, because I mean, for young people, you mean they just take different things they put in their ears and all. So talk about sharing. Then talk about what can lead to deafness in one ear. One is working, one is not working. So, I mean, is that also, I don't know, is it that people are born with one ear is working and one not working, or something could, lead to that?
Okay, yeah, that's 3 questions in one. So, so I'll take it one after the other. Well, before I start, I will first of all say that wax has a protective this thing for the ears. If you look at the structural anatomy of the ear, see the outer ear has hairs, and then you now have the wax. The hairs there tends to prevent any crawling insect to have easy access into the ear. And then the wax on its own nature too has a sticky component of it. So that sticky nature of it also tends to trap any foreign organic object getting into the air, like crawling insects. So it's when there are people who we call as wax formers. So when it's being produced in excess, it accumulates and then now blocks the air. We also say that it's not advisable that you use cotton buds to say you are removing wax from the ear, and also because the cotton buds on its own could be as a needle for infection. So using the cotton bud can actually introduce infection into the ear. Also talking about the traumatic component of it, because I've seen people using the cotton buds and eventually I don't know what happens, and then they traumatize the ear, rupturing the tympanic membrane, that's the eardrum, causing more problem from a simple using of cotton buds. So we totally advocate that we shouldn't introduce any object, foreign object, in the ear, and that's part of the reason why we're having this day, so that we can
raise awareness
about this. Should you have impacted wax or anything wrong with your ear, you just come to the specialist, like Dr. Yaro said. We'll do simple ear syringing to remove the wax. Yeah.
So how often should people remove wax from their ears?
Well, if you are a regular wax former, I would say you should always visit a specialist every 6 months, so that you examine the ear. If there's wax, then
do we have enough specialists to do this?
Well, I wouldn't want to comment so much about that because of the pull factor. People are going out and people are staying within, and we are actually losing a lot of our specialists who are leaving the country. So I wouldn't want to say, to just be very honest with you, we don't have enough to say we're going to cater for us in this country. Yeah. that aside, let's not go there.
Just a moment. Just
Yeah.
they advise sometimes that you put a little bit of olive oil in the air. So
That's why I'm not talking about the procedure. Putting the olive oil there is to soften the wax so that in the process of doing the ear syringing, the
Flushing.
wax can easily come out. Because if it's so hard to the ear, the abrasion, let me use some scientific word here, the abrasion on the ear wall canal can actually cause injury to the ear, and from that injury, infection can actually come in and all sorts. So you want to have a procedure that's painless and it's not causing more injury to the patient.
So are you supposed to apply the olive oil yourself or wait for the specialist to do that?
When you see your specialist, you tell you, say, please apply olive oil and come back within 3 to 5 days. At that point in time, the olive oil must have soften it, so the procedure will be seamless and painless. Yeah.
Okay, I think you should. There should be a caveat to that olive oil thing so that it doesn't become a regular practice for people who have not seen their specialist, just pouring olive oil with the belief that all the wax would pour out on its own. Then speak about the sharing of earpiece, if it's ideal, and then why hearing loss in one ear and not in the other.
Okay, good. The sharing of the earpiece is not ideal because you might be having an ear infection and you give it to the next person. Person puts it and then you have introduced an infection to the ear. And one of the common infection that you see in such is the otomycosis, called the fungal infection. Knowing fully well that fungus they grow in a humid environment. So, and the ear is like an end canal if the tympanic membrane is intact. So by the time you use an earbud from somebody, put in the ear, and the person has otomycosis, put it, and you drop the fungus in the ear, any small introduction of water into that ear, the fungus will blow. And you end up having otomycosis. And patients that present to you with earache, hearing loss, some discharge from the ear, so, and you can't really tell where did you get this infection from. If you probe properly, you come to realize that it might also come from sharing of that earpiece. So it's advised that you don't share such with another person. That is it. Then about the one-sided hearing loss, we call it unilateral hearing loss. When a problem is localized to one side, you should be pretty sure that it's a local problem. When the two ears are involved, that means a systemic problem. So there are so many causes of hearing loss to one side of the ears, and one of those common causes is the wax. I saw a patient like 2 days ago that said, I cannot hear with his ear at all. And when I examined the ear, there was a very big wax impacted hard in the ear. And after applying the olive oil, softening it, and did the ear syringing, when we did the ear syringing, I can hear, I can hear, I can hear. And you know, they will rush to the church and go and give thanks to Papa, say Papa has done it again. And all such. So impacted wax unilateral to the ear can actually cause a one-sided hearing loss. Yeah, trauma is another one. In a case where you see the slap to that particular side of the ear, you can have ossicular chain dislocation. You can also have what we call temporal bone fracture that can also cause that. Accident, head trauma, head injury, and all sorts could also cause a one-sided hearing loss. More so, infection, long-standing what we call chronic suppurative otitis media can also cause a one-sided hearing loss. And in some cases, it could also be congenital. Some people might be born with it, and that's where the issue of neonatal screening comes in. So with that, now you'll be able to pick the early onsets of this kind of condition to be able to profile for solutions for it. Yes.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Pan. Let's bring in Dr. Uday now. There are a lot of misconceptions about this, about the air and how they can be corrected and so many other issues like that. But how can schools and communities, because that is the theme for this year's World Day, contribute to air care initiatives?
Please, I want you to permit me to just add something, because when he talked about unilateral hearing loss, there's something that might be missed. If somebody has a tumor in the back of the nose, what we call the nasopharynx, it can affect one of the ears.
Okay.
And so the person might not hear well with one ear. It might just be the only sign. So hearing loss in one ear should be taken very seriously. I hope you don't mind. Now, the thing about the schools, what the schools can do. The schools can do a lot. The teacher identifies the student, and the teacher makes the student to have access to a health facility. That is one thing. The school can organize screenings. There are some, like school for the deaf. Sometimes those children may not really have screening. People just push them there. So such schools, the government can organize for them to have mass screenings. Some of them don't even need to be there. If they are well rehabilitated.
Some can be treated.
Yes. They can be upgraded to normal schools. Because being in that school, sometimes there's a stigma. Yes. Now, the other thing that the schools can do, advocacy, appeal to the government to help. When we had the last cochlear implant program, there was space for like 40 to 60. It was a program that was sponsored by some other government. And for that 40 to 60, we had more than 400 people come from all over Nigeria. So it was very difficult to turn away people. Up till now, some people are still calling me from far away. When are they going to do the next one? So the schools need to liaise with the government that please, let's get things for these children. Even the hearing aids we talk about, they are very expensive. So if the school identifies the children, they can liaise with the government, or the government can just step in and sponsor some of the children. Buy the hearing aids. Some of them are very expensive, almost ₦1 million. Then when you talk about the cochlear implants, you're talking about 20-something million for one.
How effective is the cochlear implant? Does it mean you'd hear forever, or it expires?
It doesn't expire. It makes them to hear forever.
Okay, it's like restoration of the ears.
Yes, to a large extent.
Oh, okay.
What about the communities? What can they do to support children with challenge?
Maybe the churches or the mosque. There are different things that communities can do also. Communities can bond and support people that have hearing loss. They don't isolate them. That's one. And two, they can also help the children to prevent by not the speakers. Some people have speakers outside, or they have very loud speakers everywhere. Those things are things that the community can control. And they'll say, oh, no speakers outside, or things like that.
Well, I'm just thinking about children that are born into certain homes where the noise is just permanent. Maybe, there are people who tell you they don't enjoy music if it's not loud, right? You talk about grinding machine.
Yeah.
There's some people whose parents are welders. There are some occupations that, it's just very loud, and children are born into such homes, and they have to live with that noise, and they have adjusted to it, and all of that. But so many issues, and we have quite a number of questions and comments from our viewers, and I guess we'll take all of that when we return from this break. Our director says
I want to say something.
Just a minute. Let's go for a break.
You will say it when you return.
When we return.
Yes, make we talk. Time don't reach to rearrange this house to give una small wisdom. Shots my teeth fresh now, but you know own, I beg no be so. Before una go talk, say our smell no reach. Make una think I'm try so. Ever heard of Colgate, the #1 oral care brand in the world?
Colgate Maximum Cavity Protection unlocks 24 hours cavity defense. The formula boost with calcium for lifelong smiles.
Mom, it's a time to brush. No more cover mouth.
Colgate for 24 hours maximum cavity protection.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wherever life takes you, home is who you share iftar with. Ramadan Mubarak from Terra.
Do you believe in Nigeria? Oh, yes, I believe. Do you believe in our greatness? Oh, yes, I believe. Do you believe in our unity? Do you believe we can fight corruption? Oh, yes, I believe. I believe, I believe, I believe, I believe. I believe, I believe in Nigeria. Oh, yes, I believe. Do you believe in our local foods? Oh, yes, I believe. Do you believe in made Nigeria good? Oh, yes, I believe. Do you believe in our naira and cover? Do you believe we can succeed? Oh, yes, I believe. I believe, I believe, I believe, I believe. I believe, I believe in Nigeria. Oh, yes, I believe.
Let's believe in ourselves. Let's have the right attitude. We've got all it takes to get there. Let's look inwards and revive all our infrastructures and galvanize our human and material resources.
I believe, I believe, I believe, I believe. I believe, I believe in Nigeria. Oh, yes, I believe.
Nigerians, believe in yourselves. Believe we can succeed.
Nigeria, believe. Powered by National Orientation Agency.
All right, many thanks for staying with us. We are all trying to check the abilities of our ears, you know, to function effectively right here in the studio. I mean, to be sure that there's no hearing loss in whatever degree, Many thanks for staying with us. We'll quickly go right into the messages just so we can accommodate all the messages that we've got. This one is from Mohammed Awal Musa Afamai, Great Wall Observers Limited in Kano. It says, what are the common local beliefs regarding the causes of ear infections and hearing loss? That's the question. And one says, good morning, sir. This is a wonderful topic, but I have a brother that is having hearing problem. It didn't start at birth. He was hearing properly before, but stopped hearing when he was 12 years old. He can only hear with his right ear. Please, what could be the cause? Another one says, good morning, everyone. I enjoy your program every morning. Is anything wrong with an ear that brings out too much wax regularly? That's from Mrs. Ayola Iju. Another one says, we learned from the doctor that gentamicin can cause hearing loss. So why do we still have gentamicin eardrop in the market? Because some healthcare workers are still prescribing it. Nigerians are fond of using earpiece or AirPods perpetually to show off. What's the implication of this to the person's ear? That's from Yusuf Wada Ibrahim. It says, good morning. My name is Binta Abdullahi. Can anything be done for a deaf adult? What causes deafness in the old? Some people could hear, but as they age, hearing becomes weak or even stops. Another one says, my name is Paul from Lagos. My baby is 1 year, 8 months old, developed an itching ear. After a week, I took her to the hospital. The test confirmed an ear infection. The doctor recommended antibiotics. 3 days later, she started discharging water with a bad smell. It's been a week now. The baby is still on the antibiotics, but I'm worried about the discharge. Could this be a normal part of the healing process, or should I take her back to the hospital? Thank you so much. That's from Paul. The one says, good morning, Nigeria. Dr. Yara talked about tools that identify hearing loss in neonates. I don't think those instruments are available, especially in primary healthcare centers. How can staff in that level identify hearing loss in newborn children? That's talking about PHC centers, considering the tools are not available. That's coming from Dede Ayuba in Gombe State. And finally, this says, good morning, Nigeria. I enjoy your topic this morning. Please, what should I do? I have 2 children who could not talk. They respond to sounds. Who cannot talk, they respond to sounds. We have gone to the hospital to see an ENT doctor, but no change. What should I do again, please? That's coming from Jane in Lagos. Heartbreaking. I'm sure we want to
respond to some of them.
Yes, I will. For the, I'll start from where we left off. The community has a lot of role to play because stigma is a critical part of this. And one of the reasons why we engage in this program is to create the awareness and encourage the communities to reduce the stigma around the people, and also encourage the people to speak out to help in that line. And also going to the classrooms too.
I think some of the messages.
I'll speak to that.
Okay.
So also in the communities too. So one of the things the government is doing is to ensure that the primary health care workers are being trained. All right, it's a stepwise gradual process that we are doing at the moment. We are ensuring that service delivery gets to the communities through the primary healthcare agencies. It's not every primary healthcare facility that has that at the moment, but like Dr. Yaro said, the neonatal screening is the key to ensuring hearing care for all children globally. And so that on itself helps to prevent hearing loss in later ages. Now, for the lady whose child is discharging, I think she should go back and see her doctor to know what is actually going on in that line. For the person who has not, the child has not been able to speak, I think there was one that said the
Yes.
child has not been able to speak. In addition to seeing the ENT surgeon, I think he should also see the speech therapist. That will also help to ensure
What about the gentamicin still being prescribed?
Still being prescribed. Yes, they usually in conditions you weigh risk against benefits, right? In every medical condition. So it's at the discretion of the healthcare provider to know. But the point is, because in Nigeria we abuse a lot of drugs. Dr. Yaro mentioned people going to medical stores to just pick what I have ear problem and all that. Somebody just prescribes. But if you see a specialist, it's just like saying, let's say quinine now. Till today, quinine is still used for resistant malaria, but then it has safe doses. All right. So when you use it in safe dose, it won't lead to ototoxicity. All right. When I mean dose, I mean duration and frequency. So same with the gentamicin. It's not as if we should, because the baby with the bad water, we should throw away the baby with the bad water. No. But you should stick within the prescribed dosing and dosages. That will not cause the ototoxicity.
What about the 1 year, 8 months old baby that is on antibiotics and having discharge?
That's why I said he has to see the doctor again.
Again, okay.
Yes, he has to see the doctor again.
Okay. Are you done with
Yeah,
that?
I guess.
Okay. So let me just read out some of the comments and questions that I have here so that you can respond to them. This one says, good morning, sir. My name is Prince Will. My daughter has ear problem. What do I do, please? Okay. The daughter has ear problem. Now, this one is from Kaduna. It said, good morning. My question is, what is the cause of it with a mother who has 5 children and all the children are deaf? They are here in Kaduna. Wow. Okay, fine. Then this one is from Nathaniel Lokoja. He says, good morning. I noticed that I hear better and louder in my left ear than the right ear. What could be the issue, sir? All right. Then this one is, it didn't say, okay, this one says, good morning, please. My son just complained of ear pain this morning. What should I do? All right. All right, so...
I think I'll take one more that I just got. Okay, are you done?
No,
okay.
not done yet. This one is, good morning, Nigeria, and our guest. Air Management and Prevention Club should be introduced in schools and communities. From Peace, this is from Peace Ambassador Caleb Lamir from Plateau State, Jos. Okay. Now, this one says, my daughter developed hair loss due to wrong medication. That's unfortunate. This one is, good morning, Nigeria. My Okoma from, okay, his name is Okoma from River State. He said, managing a child with hearing loss has never been easy. We have gone to several hospitals for tests and buying hearing aids. We have moved on by enrolling our child in a special school, and she is happy having found out that we love her, not minding our challenge. Government should build and equip schools for these special children. Now, this one is from Jos, Rahila from Jos. He said, what can one do when water enter the air? This one is from James. He said, my name is Grace James. Good morning. My question is, putting palm oil in the air, is it advisable if the wax is too much or palm oil? It's not advisable at all. Okay. Lastly, this one is, good morning, Nigeria. As we mark World Hearing Day, I would like to appreciate the speakers. My question is, what are the possible causes and available treatment for experiencing loud noise or ringing in the air? Maybe we'll go to Dr. Yarrow to respond to some of these comments and questions.
Once again, thank you. Let me start by the question that was directly to me concerning the availability of equipments for screening of newborns. These equipments are readily available in Nigeria. And in most centers, you have them, especially in teaching hospitals and federal medical centers. As I have mentioned, we have the OAE machine and we have the ABR machine. It's readily available, and the problem is in most secondary health facilities and also in primary health care, you don't have them. One of the speakers has mentioned that you need to have an ENT surgeon or an audiologist for them to run these machines. And in Nigeria, you barely have less than 200 ENT surgeons and less than even 20 trained audiologists to man these facilities. So you don't expect these equipments to be available in those areas. And the Federal Ministry of Health has developed strategic plan for ear and hearing care. This was presented at the National Council on Health about 4 years ago or 5 years ago. And it was mandated that it should be implemented in the states as well as in the primary health care facilities. At National Ear Care Center here in Kaduna, we run what we call the primary health care program, where we identify primary health care officers from different local governments to come for some basic training. But that needs to be supported by the local governments themselves. Then a question also was raised, I think, for some children, about, I think, 5 of them, that they said they have hearing loss, all of them within the family. So it means that this is a hearing loss that runs within the family, and possibly it is a genetic disorder. We have different types. It can be an autosomal recessive or a dominant type of inheritance, where once this one, it dominates. So this type of people that are supposed to come to hospital, if they are in Kaduna, they can come to National Ear Care Center Kaduna so that we can take a very good history and then evaluate them to see the type of hearing loss that they have. And then this also needs a geneticist. A geneticist is a specialist in genetic disorder who can take certain blood samples and also some part of the mucosa to do their genetic analysis to see whether these things runs in families. Then the other questions, like questions that have to do with provision of hearing aids that somebody has said, oh, facilities. These things are very available in Nigeria, but it's only the cost, as one of the speakers has mentioned.
Yaro, I got this very interesting message and I'd like to read it. It says, some people cannot speak out well for people to hear them. And that does not mean that the person has ear problems. For example, just now on my TV, the voice of Mr. Iboro was not so audible. Despite my volume, my TV volume being at the same level, I could hear the other speaker louder. That's coming from Nicholas Pelemo in Tunga Maje. Where actually I noticed that, yes, Dr. Iboro Akpan, speaks calmly, compared to the other speakers. Like you have said, it doesn't mean that there's hearing loss, whatsoever. But as we begin to round up this conversation, we're looking for the way forward so that Nigerians, there are so many challenges. Hearing loss is a challenge. The specialist to attend to Nigerians is also a challenge. So we're trying to raise awareness so people can go to the facilities. To meet who will be another question. Because, if the specialists are not available, so even when you present yourself, there's no one to, probably manage you or, deal with the issues. For me, for example, I would say, well, the first contact would be when the child is born. That part of the routine screening or checks that they do is that, a mother with a baby is asked to go see an ENT specialist right there before they are discharged, to check the hearing. If that is not available, I'm wondering what this awareness is all about. So speak to us really. How do we raise the consciousness? How do we make this a part of us as a people? And how do we treat or manage the challenge of insufficient specialists in this field?
Well, I don't know whether I should shout at the top of my voice, so the guy in Tunga Magic can't hear me properly. Well, that's one of the common complaints I hear about me, that I don't speak so loud. Yeah.
Maybe because you deal with hearing issues, so you don't want to complicate it for your patients.
So yeah, Dr. Yaro mentioned about some policies that's been discussed at the Council of Establishment and expected to implement them. Well, we know that in doing this, prevention, as I earlier on said, is very, very important, and starting from the community. And with the issue of not having enough hands on ground to say that it will be able to carry this out, it becomes a very big Herculean task. First is for us to train enough hands on ground to be able to even go beyond the tertiary health institution, the secondary health institution, down to the primary health care facilities, to train them to know the importance of carrying out this screening. As he also mentioned that we have less than 20 audiologists in the whole country, it's like a red sign for us as well. I would say that country like Finland is a right to hear. It's a right to hear, but here we don't have such on ground. So training, getting down to the primary health care center, training those primary health primary healthcare workers so that they can get this into the community is very important. And also the religious angle of it as well. We train them over and over hearing, screening, and also then we can now move to the secondary and then the tertiary health institution. I will say that in training a specialist in this country is quite expensive, and it feels so bad that haven't invested so much on the specialists. After training, they tend to go to leave the country and go to environment where you tend to have what to work with. Nothing is as frustrating as having the skills, but you don't have the facility to say that you'll be able to. So those policies that Dr. Yaro mentioned about, it's something I'll call on the government to actually look into it and try all their possible best to see that they are going to implement such policies. Should we implement that policy to the latter? Honestly speaking, it's going to be 7-up. The difference will be clear.
So speaking on that as well.
Yes, because
someone from government, what we are also doing, Dr. Yaro talked about day training primary healthcare workers in his facility, and that means they are trying to do a sort of tax shifting and tax sharing among primary healthcare workers to encourage them to raise the bar, ensure that the communities get help and get care as they need. But part of the problem is also trying, because if you don't have leadership and governance, he talked about local government taking charge of that. And that's part of the leadership and governance. And that's suffice it to say that in most states, we don't have that yet. So that's what my ministry is trying to do, to ensure that there is leadership and governance for ear care in the country, ensure that there is equitable service delivery to the people through the primary healthcare workers, ensuring that many of them are trained in that activity. Because permit me to say that the commonest person people will meet is someone at the, or easier person to meet is someone at the primary healthcare level, right?
Exactly.
So if we start from that grassroots and start coming up, it means that even before I get to Dr. Akpan, I would have reduced a lot of work on him. He already knows what the person is coming to do, and he does a lot with that, you know. So the policy talks about tax shifting and tax sharing, and the government is looking into that while also establishing the leadership and governance aspect, because if you don't have the subnationals buy into that to ensure that the citizens at the subnational level have access, there will be nothing really more the federal can do, because federal is policy making, formulation, and ensuring a few implementation in priority states. So that's the way we are also doing. In addition to that, we're also trying to see how that can be integrated into the school health programs. Because if we don't have this enshrined into the school health program with the Federal Ministry of Education, chances are that we'll be missing the communities to classrooms. And like my Dr. Ondie said, the schools have a lot of roles to play in advocacy and also ensuring that this system is continually, so you have a pre-school screening. Even while you are into the schools, you also have, I would say, annual academic checks that helps ensure that the child who is in school also has
What
good
about
care.
those not in school?
Well,
because that's also...
I agree with you. I agree with you. Well, the informal sector is also what I talked about earlier on. I talked about children whose mothers, or you also talked about people whose family are exposed to high noise. So the communities have that role to play in educating them to reducing those high noise levels, and also ensuring that children come for screening, people that already they feel have some level of hearing impairment.
Okay, Dr. Ondie, in just your parting shots now.
Okay, I have to.
What support system are you advocating, for people with who have the challenge in hearing?
Well, the first thing I wanted to say was that
we have just 30 seconds.
The deaf community, there's what they call deaf community in the western part of Nigeria. They are deaf, the adults, and they marry themselves. I think that should be discouraged because they pass on genetic problems, Then for the government, they should increase the chances for residency training. Some doctors leave, not because they want to leave, but because they don't have a space to train. They have passed the exams, but they don't have the space. They will be told that they don't have maybe they have enough, and they will not be taken. So I think the government should do something. Encourage the doctors to stay. If you have enough doctors, maybe the residents, then there will be more doctors. And we have to be careful with training the community health people, because you may raise quacks.
Okay. Okay, let's 30 seconds, Dr. Yaro, your parting shot, please.
Thank you. As we have discussed, basically there is the need to improve awareness. So I'm calling on our colleagues, especially the ENT surgeons, and also the government, to reach out to the communities, especially to create awareness on this. And then also certain part of this treatment that are available in Nigeria that people are not aware. I believe the Federal Ministry of Health is compiling a compendium on the services that are rendered, ranging from cochlear implant surgery the availability of hearing aids, and also the rehabilitation process. Currently here in National Ear Care Center, we are working to see how to manufacture hearing aids that are going to be very available and accessible to Nigerians. Thank you.
Yaro, we are completely out of time. Dr. Akpan, thank you so much. I'm sure those who shout on the phone should also come and get checked, right? Dr. Etukmana Iboro Akpan, ENT surgeon, head and neck surgeon in the West of Abuja Teaching Hospital. Thank you so much for being our guest, and we look forward to having more conversations with you, of course. Thank you so much, Dr. Chimezie Obim, Director, National Eye, Ear and Sensory Functions Health Program, Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare. It was indeed a pleasure to have you. And of course, Dr. Unse Ubong Blessing Ondie, Chief Consultant ENT Surgeon, Head of Department ENT at the National Hospital Abuja. Thank you so much, Madam.
Thank you very
And of
much.
course, Dr. Mustafa Abubakar Yaro, Chief Medical Director, National Ear Care Center, Kaduna. Thank you so much, Doctor. It's been very interesting having 4 doctors, with us talk about the ears, and I'm sure that our viewers have learned something. That's our package on Good Morning Nigeria this Tuesday. I'm Henry John. Take care of your ears. You need them to hear.
You're right. I'm Ademola. Thanks for staying with us. Do have a lovely day.
Well.